Michigan. This is Grand Tap Media Business TV. My name is Pamela Keim, your host. The spirit of the show is to introduce West Michigan to all the businesses, nonprofits, individuals that can help us thrive in our lives and business. We have a very special guest here today. She comes all the way from California, and she is here to teach us resilience and how we can move forward in 2021 with all the obstacles we are enduring. What if one day you were living the American dream? It's a beautiful day, you are driving, you have this wonderful life, you have a great career, you're a mother, a wife, and all of a sudden one day you are driving home and you get hit by an SUV, and all of a sudden your life turns into tragic in a second. And then you have to make a decision if you're going to take off one of your legs. And what if you were a personal trainer, well fit, beautiful, living the California dream? We have a very special guest with you today because she had to endure those decisions. She went through 34 surgeries and she had to deal with chronic pain, and she realized how many other people were dealing with the same thing, and she had to grit and move forward, which she wrote the book Grit and I'm going to grab that real quick to grab that Grace.
And, yes, true grit and grace.
Grace. And she has been able to help people all over the world. She is a sought out speaker, keynote speaker. She's did a TED Talk. She's on many of the talk shows, trying to share her stories and connect with people and help other people build resilience. I want to introduce to you Amber Largo, who comes all the way from California to share her story and to help us, many of us that may be suffering even through this pandemic, how we can build resilience and grow in 2021. Thank you for being here today, Amberly.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And wow, what an incredible introduction. Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here. So I encourage people to surround yourself with really people who are passionate and inspired, and be very careful of those ambition thieves, people who are hard on you, who are not supporting you.
Let's share a little bit about that before we move on. How did your friends handle this? I mean, because you were in the fitness world, you did modeling, you hang out with those type of people when you're in that world. This is going out, and it's going to be aired in May, and it's Mental Health Month, you know that, throughout the nation. But share about what it was like. Did you lose friends? Did people rally? I mean, because sometimes a tragedy happens and people don't know how to deal with it, and you don't fit the image that you once did, and that they can't bear that. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? How did you handle your friends?
Totally. Well, I think first of all, I have to say, when you're good to people, people are good to you. And so I have incredible friends. I had incredible people that I worked with that helped me, still they picked up the slack and they took my clients and they trained them. I made sure that my clients were all taken care of by these other amazing trainers that I had worked with for years. Friends and family, when I got home when I was in the hospital, we had people sneaking in ICU to come see me and pray for me. And then the first time I was in the hospital in months, I had several people coming to visit. And then when I got out of the hospital, it was like I had a revolving door to my house, and I had people coming, bringing me food, just there to support me. I mean, we had a hospital bed in our living room because I couldn't make it up the stairs. I couldn't even stand up on my own. I had a porta potty next to me. I had to use a bedpan, and that is humbling. But there are the people in your life that maybe you realize who your true blue friends are. And I remember one time I was so proud to finally be able to stand up long enough to be on crutches. And I was able to walk about 2 blocks away. And it took me about 30 minutes just to get down the street 2 blocks, because I would have to stop and rest my leg up on the side, this ledge that's on the side of the street, just because it was so painful. And I got to Starbucks and I was so proud I made it to Starbucks, and I was sitting having coffee with a friend, and I had my leg propped up on the chair. And this guy that I used to work with, he walked by and he goes, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." It's like, I just got out of the hospital. I was hit by an SUV. And he goes, "Well, I'm glad I didn't marry you, because I would have divorced you." And I kind of thought, wow, well, I'm glad I never even went out on a date with you, because that's mean. And so, I think that part of being resilient is really paying attention to the people that you're surrounding yourself with. When I first got out of the hospital, I tried getting into some support groups for CRPS. And I noticed it was bringing me down, because so many people had that victim mentality, and they're like, "Why me? My life sucks. CRPS sucks." And you know what? I know CRPS does suck, and it can suck the life out of you. So I don't want to focus on how much it sucks. I want to focus on what I can do to make my life better. And so when you can't find, that group, or then create it, when
Right.
you're searching for friends, make sure that you are around people with good energy and good vibes that are lifting your spirits up, because it is hard. And when you're healing, it takes every ounce of energy just to get through the day. And, I was depressed, and, I didn't have the energy it was hard to reach out for help. And it took every ounce of courage in me to do that. And so if you're listening right now and you're struggling and you're sad and you really need help, I know it's hard and it takes courage, but it changed my life once I realized that I was struggling. I couldn't get through it on my own. And one of the things that made the biggest difference was just knowing that I wasn't alone. There were so many people that felt exactly like I felt. I thought, nobody's going to understand my pain. Nobody possibly understands how I feel. And I can guarantee you that there's somebody out there that feels like you do, or they're going through something similar. And when you start sharing about it, with people that you trust, or maybe somebody that you see has gone through something similar, and you see, hey, they got through it. I want to get through this hard time too. Connect with them, reach out. It may be a friend, it may be family, it may be someone on Instagram that you saw their hashtag and you're like, "Oh, that person gets me." Shoot them a DM. I always say reach out, because it can change your life. It can save your life.
Well, okay, let's talk about the book. It's a best-selling book, and the book is True Grit and Grace. So what made you, were you laying in bed? What made you write this book to try to help others? Because not everybody does that. Like you said, they're in the support group. They got the victim mentality. I can see, if you're enduring pain every day, Amberly, I can see where you can get down. It's depressing.
Oh, yeah.
The pandemic has been depressing to many of us. Have lost our incomes. We've had to pivot beyond what it got us out of our comfort zone, yes. But we're still suffering trying to get out of this. Talk about true grit and grace. And if grace was it a religious experience? Can you tell us more about this?
Well, I was inspired to write my book because I thought, if I can get through the worst days of my life and turn a tragedy into triumph, I want to share what I've learned along the journey. And if I can help one person, if I can help them from going down as low and hitting rock bottom, like I did, then it will make all the 2 years that it took me to write the book worth it. And so, because of a lot of pain, it took me 2 years to write my book. But I think when you're going after a goal, it's really important to focus on why you're doing it. What's the reason behind it? And for me, True Grit and Grace, the book was it's a call to your resilience. It's a call to tap into the strength that you have to get through some of the worst times. And so I thought, I didn't have much confidence in writing my book. So I took a class from Jack Grapes, and it was him that really gave me the confidence to keep writing, because, I couldn't fit my schedule into his beginner class. And so he let me in the advanced class, and I was in there with a bunch of
Great
screenplay
writers.
writers, authors, published authors. And then there was me. And I remember the first time I actually wrote what is in the book about the accident. And I had to stand up in front of class and my hands were shaking. And I sat down and I just started crying. And he goes, Amberly, why did you take my class? And I was like, I want to write a book. And I said it out loud for the first time. And he said, let me tell you something. You may have been intimidated when you first came into this class. He goes, but let me tell you, everyone in here is intimidated by you after what you just read, what you wrote. And he goes, you will write a book and it is going to be a bestseller. And that gave me that little boost of confidence that I needed to keep writing. And so for anyone out there who's got a book in them and they're thinking about writing a book, this is your sign to write your book, because, I didn't even have a computer. I hand wrote, like, I would say 90% of my book, 80% of my book. And then I bought a laptop, typed it up, got a publisher, worked hard for a year straight because I didn't even have social media. And I only had about 300 followers on Instagram. And for a year,
Yeah.
I had to really start getting my message out there. And a year later, they found me on the Today Show, and Megyn Kelly wanted to interview me. So I had the honor of the day that my book launched to go on the Today Show and share my book. And because of that, and really probably only because of that, my book became a bestseller. And so I think that it's doing the work every single day. It's carving out time in your day to do something. And it's really
How much time?
How much time?
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you because I wrote a book. It's still in the editing process. I haven't touched it in probably over a year and a half. And people, the person I'm working with, you want to get ruling on this. What made you, how much time a day did you spend? And my struggle is, and I'm going to share this with you because I get to have the opportunity, you're in front of me, but mine is because I wrote this book back in 2016 and my whole life has changed a lot since then. So some of the things I'm editing, I'm like, I don't even know this person anymore that I wrote this book. I mean, did you struggle because you were moving quite quickly, improving, did you look back and you had depression? I mean, to deal with this every day, Amber, I think we're just glossing over this, right?
Oh, somebody told me that it took them like, I just wrote my book in a month. It just poured out of me. And I was like, it was not like that for me. For me, it was very cathartic because I didn't realize that I had not healed from a lot of trauma that had happened in my childhood. And in the book, I talk about sexual abuse and physical abuse and some divorce. And so when I was writing about all these things on top of being in constant chronic pain, that's when I really hit rock bottom. And in the middle of writing my book, I got sober. And by the grace of God, I have years of sobriety. But I always thought, you know what, this could be someone else's survival guide on how to get through these moments. And we're constantly growing and evolving, but I wanted to write something that could kind of be a blueprint for others to get through challenges by sharing.
I'm going to interrupt you. You said, you glossed over that real quickly. You got sober. Did you become a big drinker when you were in pain, or was it?
Let me tell you, I was never a partier. I was an overachiever and so driven and focused on my career. And I thought I was so different from so many people in my family with addiction. Mm-hmm. And I learned that addiction doesn't discriminate. And when I was trying all these different medical procedures and just to get out of pain, nothing was working. And I remember having a glass of wine going, this kind of helps numb out the pain. And it helped me stuff down my feelings of unworthiness and not being adequate and just shut my mind off. And so I remember thinking, this isn't the healthiest thing to do, but if this is what I have to do to get through the day, then I guess it's what I have to do. One glass worked, then 2 glasses of wine worked, and then it all worked until it didn't.
How long was
and I
that?
woke
Because I know a lot of people are have been addicted because they deal with chronic pain. They're in my family. They've been on, painkillers, pain medications. They've been addicted to, all of the OxyContin, all of these things. And I want you to share a little bit more about that, because I know a lot of people that are in pain, they end up going down this road to feel better, because we don't know what that's like.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why CRPS is dubbed the suicide disease, because people either kill themselves because they can't deal with the pain quickly. They end their lives, or they become addicted to pain medication or alcohol, and they slowly kill themselves. And I thought, here I have survived this near fatal accident, and I am slowly killing myself with alcohol. And it was this horrible, cycle of, promising myself that I wasn't going to drink, but then the pain would get to be so bad, I would just want to have a drink just for a reprieve, I just need a little reprieve. And I did not know how I was going to stop, because I knew I couldn't stop the pain.
How long was that? Can you share with us? How long, when you started taking your drink, how long did you take you to realize that were you an alcoholic, or were you just realizing you were numbing?
I am a recovering alcoholic.
Okay.
And I knew what that was because I had seen it in my family, and I knew where it would lead me because I have a brother who's sitting on death row in Texas. And so I knew it was going to lead me either to completely, killing myself, being locked up in an insane asylum, or jail. That's where it leads you.
Did you have those thoughts? Can you share a little bit? Because there are always people that have those thoughts of suicide. Did you go down that road, that you wanted to end your life?
Oh, yeah. And that was when I was at my darkest time, when I thought, I can't live with this pain anymore. I can't get through one more day. And, I had thoughts of, my kids could find another mom. My husband could find some cute wife to help him and take care of the kid. These thoughts were going through my head. And I think, it really was the grace of God that gave me that little bit of courage that I needed to ask for help. I prayed, and I prayed hard. And, the first person I reached out to ask for help was like, I said, and that took a lot of courage, because I had so much shame, because I was always the fitness girl and the successful one. And now I'm saying I have a problem. And I think, at first it took me a long time to even talk about this, but because we have addiction rates rising, we have suicide rates rising, I think it's important to talk about, because it is such a slippery slope to all of a sudden, go from, I'm just going to have a drink, to I was completely dependent on it. And when I stopped, I had tremors. I couldn't stop my hands from shaking. And the first person I asked for help was like, yeah, I'm going to take you to a recovery meeting. And I didn't hear back from her And so I was like, I need help now. So I Googled recovery, and I went to a recovery meeting that was when my daughter was in school and when my husband was at work. So I went from sneaking drinking to sneaking going to recovery. And when I went into that room, although it was one of the scariest things that I've ever done, I sat in between a nun and a cowgirl, this lady with a cowboy hat. And I was like, where the heck am I? And I was like, wow, there's a lot. Yeah, it was like, wow, if a nun can be an alcoholic, then so can I. And I realized, in that room, I heard hope. I heard stories of people that were just like me. And I knew that I wasn't alone. So I kept going back. And to this day, I think this last year has been one of the hardest years in my recovery, because I miss in-person meetings, but I do Zoom meetings. Thank goodness for Zoom. And so if you're listening and you're like, oh gosh, I've been trying to stop and I can't. Willpower alone didn't work for me. I was always prided myself on willpower. Like if I wanted to get in shape, I did it. I skipped the cookies or dessert and I worked out harder. If I wanted to, win that race, I trained harder. I ran more. I worked hard. I had that willpower like it was of steel. And I was completely powerless over this situation.
Wow.
And takes, transformation, and it's not just physical, but it's mental and it's a spiritual transformation. And I couldn't do it unless I was connected with my higher power every day. I have a morning routine where I pray, I write what I'm grateful for, and then I text my sponsor every single day. If you don't have a sponsor, find someone that you can be accountable to and that you can text every day and tell them 3 things that you're grateful for. And I promise that will start to change your life. It shifts your perspective.
Really? That's interesting. I'm glad you shared that. I write down, I think about gratitude, but I didn't even think about texting it to somebody. All right, I know this whole hour has gone so quickly, but I want to keep moving real quickly. If you can give us a couple more minutes here. What is the 5-part pacer that you created, this method that people are able to tap in from West Michigan to go to your website, and what is it, and share more? So please.
Yes, I needed something because it's not like you're resilient and you're just resilient and superwoman and you get through everything easily. It's really something that you have to work on every day. Your mental health is something that you work on every day. And so I needed a quick reminder to, if I was feeling depressed or low, if I started feeling myself going down that road of despair, or if I'm anxious or sad, I needed something to look to remind me of the things I need to do every single day in order to be resilient. So I have a word, it's called PACER. And I go down the list. It's perspective, acceptance, community, endurance, and rest.
Wow.
And
Okay.
if I'm doing all these things, I know that I'm able to be more resilient, to thrive, to get through these challenges. And so I know we're running out of time. So if people want to reach out to me on Instagram at Amberly Lago Motivation, I'm happy to share. I have a playbook. It's called Unleash Your
I
Superpower
want
of
to share a little bit about
Resilience.
that because, because we have, a few minutes here, but share a little bit, unleash your superpower. I hear that a lot, and to find it. How did you find, I know by side, you're absolutely, I will have to say, compliment you. You're a beautiful woman, and you can share a little bit of what your routine is because you're very fit, even though your leg is, and some people go the opposite way. They lose their fitness, and they gain weight because they're in pain. Doesn't seem like you went through that. You went through more of the drinking issue, correct? On that
Well,
one?
yeah, no, I was very focused on being intentional about what I ate, because if I gain too much weight, I won't be able to walk. And so I also, have a knee that my doctor is like, it's a good thing that you really watch your weight because your knee wouldn't work if you put on extra weight. And then I was told, I'm on a medication called Lyrica, and the first side effect of that is weight gain. And so I remember going to a psychologist, and he was going over the medication that I was taking and the supplements. And I said, I'm concerned that Lyrica, the main side effect, causes you to gain weight. And he said, yeah, but that's up to you. You just have to really focus on, if it slows your metabolism down, then you just don't eat as much. And so I was like, wow, that put me back in the driver's seat of my life. But look, when we're going through hard times, whether it's, we lost our job or we lost someone, especially due to COVID, or we're going through a divorce or we deal with chronic pain, sometimes it's hard to let those feelings rise up, and people eat. I've been guilty of that. Comfort food. I love
Yeah.
it. Bring on the cereal or the frozen yogurt or waffles. But you have to identify, what are your trigger foods? What are those foods that you just can't put down? Like if you can't just eat one Dorito, which I know that's hard, don't eat one because you know you're going to eat the whole bag if you start. Get rid of those things in your house. Like I said earlier, willpower is not going to cut it. You need to have these healthy habits set in place. And so let me give you an example. So if you have strong willpower and you wake up and you see a chocolate chip cookie on the counter, but you've got your willpower and you're like, I'm not going to have that cookie because I want to be fit. I want to be healthy. I want to be lean, or I just can't gain weight because I won't be able to walk. You don't eat the cookie. You go to work. You might get a phone call. Someone really stressed you out. You skipped lunch because you were so busy. You're tired. Now you're in a bad mood. You could get home. You look on the counter. There's a chocolate chip cookie and you have no willpower because you have all these stressors. You're overtired, you're over hungry, you eat the cookie, and it's this vicious cycle. You feel bad for doing it. You wake up the next day saying, I'm not going to do that, and you do it again. So get rid of those things that are going to tempt you in your proximity. Get rid of those things. Later on, maybe you can have them in the house again. But for me, I know I took the wine out of the house until I could develop healthier habits and replace wine with tea, with reaching out to a friend, with going to a meeting, with writing in my journal, to going to exercise. So yeah, the pacer method is all of these things that I do to get through those times. And so, yeah, you can go to my website and see it. But if you want the playbook, you can text me the word resilience and I'll send it to you. You can text me at 818-214-7378. I just want to give everybody, the things that I've learned that help me. I think we all have the ability to develop our mental toughness. It's not that I'm any different from anyone else. I've just learned how to tap into that, and we can all do that. So I want to give people as many resources as I can because I don't ever want anybody to feel as low as I felt. And so and plus I just love connecting with people.
Well, and you don't want people want to feel alone. Okay, I know we have to go. We'll wrap this up. But when they reach out to you, are you your program is to help you people just in pain like you, or we're just talking people that are just really need, to pivot in 2021?
Well, it's for everyone. I mean, pain is pain and pain demands to be heard. And we all in life go through some sort of pain, some sort of, adversity, some sort of challenge. So this isn't just for people with pain. This is for anyone to get through challenges that come up. And resilient people know that things don't always go as planned. But when you have these tools in place to help you shift your perspective quickly, to help you not focus on what's negative, but focus on the positive, to surround yourself with community, to develop your endurance and that passion and perseverance to keep going, and give yourself some grace through the process to rest and recover.
Are you still in pain?
Oh, I'm in pain every day.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
but I've just
changed at all. You're just learning to
some days are worse than others, but I have pain every day. I think that it's finding ways to push yourself further than you thought you could go, but also knowing when you need, like I said, to give yourself some grace and rest. And this interview was very important to me. So I made sure I went to bed early last night and I got enough rest. I made sure I woke up and did my morning routine and I was clear-headed and grounded. And so I think that, there are ways this doesn't, take my pain away. It helps me get through my pain and my challenges. And so I don't even like to say my pain. I like to say the pain.
Well, you're in California, and you have a best-selling author. Anybody approach you doing a movie?
Oh, that would be so much fun.
I think, you're in California, and I would think that would be the next step from your bestseller. Your story is an inspiration, and I think it would touch
thank you.
lives.
Let's just put it out there in the universe.
That's right. Get a hold of Amberly. So, all right, once again, where can they find your book, Grit, The True Grit and Grace, and how can they reach you once again?
Yes, you can text me. I'll send you that playbook at 818-214-7378, or just text me and say hello. And Amberly Lago, I have free downloadable gratitude journal and other resources. And I hang out mostly on Instagram at Amberly Lago Motivation, where you can see some of my behind the scenes shenanigans with my daughter and inspirational posts. And you can find my book, True Grit and Grace, on Amazon or at your local bookstore if you're out there shopping. And my podcast is called True Grit and Grace, where I share stories of resilience and struggles to success. So thank you for having me here.
All right,
it's been so much fun talking with you.
Thank you so much, Amberly Lago. We want to wish you all the success. Get her book. It's going to be a bestseller. And I know somebody will probably reach out to you to do a movie on it, because I'm sure it's going to inspire so many people and help the many people that need to pivot and change in 2021, because all our lives have kind of been flipped upside down.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you.
All right, you take care. We'll catch you next time. Take care. This is Pamela Keim from Grand Tap Media Business TV, and we will see you next time. Take care, everyone.